Welcome to the cemetery. My name is Miss Clara Eason. I was born here in Westfield back in 1844. I'd like to begin by telling you a bit of my family history. My grandfather, David Eason, was one of the area's first pioneers when he came here in the spring of 1806. He and my grandmother, Margaret, purchased 150 acres of land from John McMahon and built a simple log cabin on the settlement you now call South Portage Street. Later, they would build a grand home on that site with a blend of Greek and Gothic revival as well as a little bit of Italianate. Grandfather was a successful farmer, a justice of the peace, and later the county's first sheriff. He kind of told tall tales about the time that he traveled and chased down and arrested 2 horse thieves. We're never quite sure if that was true. From 1823 to 24, he was a member of the New York State Senate, but soon retired from public life to settle down and cultivate his farm. My grandparents had 3 children, my Aunt Mary Ann, my father John, and a baby who died in infancy. When my father married my mother Sarah, they moved down to the lake and bought Captain Knapp's house. It was there in Barcelona that I spent most of my childhood. My father was involved in the shipping industry. He was very successful, and life in Barcelona was as exciting as it was because it was a growing, bustling place full of businesses and people. But sadly, after the railroad came in, the shipping industry declined. As trains were much faster, they could move goods and people so much easier. So we ended up selling that house down in Barcelona and moved up to the home that my grandfather built. By that time, it was just mother, father, and me. I had a brother, Henry, who died at 19. My sister, Mary Elizabeth, passed away at about 8 years old. I had another brother, John Jr., who also died as a teenager. Older brother, Charles, moved to Mississippi, where he learned the news that he died of yellow fever. After father died, my mother and I lived and ran the farm. I especially loved those horses. I could be seen driving down Main Street with a big team of horses and a flourish of reins and a light buggy whip. Mother did not approve. The house was large for the 2 of us, having 6 main bedrooms, a library, and a 75-foot grand living room. I love sauntering down the grand staircase with its polished dark wood railings and imagine a suitor would be waiting for me in the parlor. But that was just a dream. I never married. After Mother passed away, I lived there at 97 South Portage Street all alone. In the last many years of my life, I was confined to my home with painful rheumatism. I tried to maintain a cheery demeanor and suffered my pain privately. As my time was drawing near, I made up my will with my executor. Since there was no one to pass on the estate to, I decided the funds should be left to the town to be built a municipal building known as Eason Hall in memory of the Eason family. You can see this stately building now on Elm Street with its distinctive Grecian-style columns. In my will, I also gave away my grandmother's solid silver set to the St. Peter's Episcopal Church to be melted down and used in communion. I ended up passing away of kidney failure and disabling rheumatism in the summer of 1919. I was only 75. At the end of my obituary, it was beautifully written, "You have learned your lesson in pain. There is nothing to fear at last. I'm so very glad for you, my dear, that all your trouble has passed." Good night. Good night.